Hello and welcome once again to another episode of 177 Nations of Tasmania. In this episode, I'm talking with Elena from Mexico, a country and people known for their vibrance and colour, whether it be in art, architecture, design, dance, or their flamboyant celebrations. So perhaps it seems logical that Elena has spent much of her life and career fixated on colours, either as a beautician and makeup artist or as an image consultant. Elena's life, as she will explain, has been filled with both shades of light and dark. And through both moments of challenge and joy, she's now settled in Launceston, where she's also the host of a Spanish language radio program. But to hear more of the story of what brought her here in Tasmania today, I'll let Elena tell you in her own words.
My name is Maria Elena Chacoya Rodriguez, because in Mexico using the two names. I am from Mexico City. I was born there in Mexico City, and I love to say my age. I was born in the 11th of May, 1968. So I am, at this stage, I have 53. Yes, I have my mom, my dad, a beautiful, beautiful family full of love, and a sister that is 8 years older than me. Sorry, I already mentioned her age. And yes, but by being only two girls and 8 years of difference, yes, also mark a lot of my characteristics that I will to mention later. But yes, I was living in Mexico City. I finished to study my career and my degree there, then invited me to work in Baja California. That job was not exactly what I expecting, but I didn't back. So this is another interesting part. At that moment in my life, I didn't thinking to come back to Mexico City, only for to travel in. I was just there. Then when I start to do all this color, well, that's why the people, they want to contract me for to go to work in there. And that business was not really good. Then is when, was not very good because it was dishonest agreement. So then I said, well, what can I do? I want to work in a TV. I want to be a makeup artist in the TV. And eventually everything happened. I working in a TV when the economy was there and the production was there. Then the economy changed between America and Mexico. And then I working in a movies. I did a lot, was shots made and films about the like a Mexican cowboys, and I did also another interesting productions like Sesame Street. Yes, there was the production there. I was doing a lot the image about image consultant about people that will to working in the TV and they want to change the image, but also working in a company that was the name was well, not the name, it doesn't matter, but it's like a Telstra. It's like a company, a company like a Telstra. And that was a blessing for me because I working from them until that moment, until we leave and coming to live here in Australia. I'm more for 15 years, and they always was my open door, but always was about talking about the color. And talking about, at that time was people that wanted to be better in her job or better in the image. And I told working a lot with models, agency models, but always go again to back about them, about the beauty, the happiness, and to feel authentic, to feel genuine. And then these genuines continue in these years because now when my children are old and spend more of his life here in Australia, how important for migrant is to be authentic. Well, then, because I was very successful, I have a lot of makeup, I have my clinic, I have a conference, I was traveling nationally, I was giving a conference. I was already very settled down in all these circumstances of my life, very happy, traveling with my parents, bring there, go there. But then I have invitations to go to, I was the only speaker, international bilingual speaker in that conference, and I went. I was about the cosmetology. And then I have an advice. Somebody told me, what you need to find to continue coming to this conference is to find a product that you can sell or something that they invite you to come in again because you need to be in the stall with them. And I said, well, I have already brushes, I have already makeups, we'll see. And then in that conference, I saw the most beautiful cases you can imagine about the makeup. Silver, beautiful, and well, who has that business at that time who is now the father of my children. I fell in love with the cases. I really want to do a business about the cases because I say, oh, yes, perfect. And then I can travel with him or with the organization or with the company. And then I can do more conference. And then the cases is beautiful. And yeah, just matching everything. At that time, he was also interested about not sell cases in Mexico. So also he was interested about my person. So yes, we fell in love. We started a long relationship, at that time by emails and faxes. And then, the short story is we married in 2001. And my ex-husband, because now he's my ex-husband, he was living for 9 years in Mexico.
Okay.
Yes. So always with the idea that we need to come back to Australia. And we didn't for 5 years because he wants to improve his economy. He also improved his Spanish. And we have 2 children. When I have an Elisa, I was 35 years old. So at that moment, I was just like, I did a lot. So I didn't marry young. And I did a lot, I traveled a lot. By the way, also I went to Europe. I studied in Europe makeup, artistic makeup there before to meet the father of my children. So yes, I have all these things. And actually when I was ready to back again to Europe, because I say, okay, what is next? What I need to do it? Well, this is when I went to the conference, I met him, and I didn't go to Europe. Yes, but what happened with my first child, and it's an Elisa, it's a lot connection with her. Nobody wants to know what will be the sex of the baby, but I want. So we know it. The doctor and Elisa and me, we know that she will be a girl, and it was a beautiful relationship because I stopped working too much because I was more dedicated to her. And it was a beautiful connection. So I think that was the beautiful story of my life. But then, yes, we're keeping with the idea to come into Australia. Then I was pregnant again, and this time they want to know the sex. So it was a baby boy. And yes, 3 years later, Andre Roman was born. But again, I was doing meditation, I was doing the water classes, I was doing the yoga, I was doing the way I was eating was very healthy, everything was very beautiful. Mm-hmm. And that was not very beautiful. Sometimes the relationship already start to be different, but I have the faith and we're coming to here will be nice. And the beautiful thing about Andre is he was born in the car.
Oh, really?
Yes, and was absolutely beautiful again because I took a position like as indigenous to holding the seat when he was driving, and then the baby just coming. So I was the person to receive my baby, and straight away I gave up breastfeeding. And then, yes, my 2 pregnancy and the birth of my children was exactly what I want. About don't have any, would be natural. More natural than that, it's not, was not possible. So it was beautiful. And then, yes, that connection still give me that trust, than to feel in the love, than to feel confident, and to feel connected with your roots was so beautiful. New Year's Eve in Mexico, I remember when I was a child, I was looking forward to watching in the TV the fireworks. And the most spectacular I was waiting was the Sydney one.
Yeah.
The Sydney one. So I didn't care a lot about Paris or Egypt. I was just looking to see the opera house and the bridge. And my heart really was very, very, very connected with that. Well, that is amazing because years later, I'm living here since 2008. And the other things, of course, was the kangaroos. So that the more fabulous animal for me was the kangaroos. I didn't know whether that time that was wallabies. But yeah, that was my connection. So yes, I have no idea then years later, I will come in to live here. When I was living in Mexico, I was living with my family until the 24, 23 years old. I went to move into another city border to America. And this is when I'm developing a lot about my independence. That also I was doing something that was not common. So it was not common than the children or the daughters coming to live to another city. So I start to do this part of difference, and I create a lot independence and a lot autonomy and a lot success in my career. That is beautiful.
So what was your career in Mexico?
Yes, well, but it was in the middle of the college when I saw a woman. I went to a class, and years later I went to another class because in the newspaper say, are you winter, are you summer, are you spring? And who was my teacher was in the picture, and she say, I am a winter woman. And I went to my dad to say, I need to have this workshop. And I remember that was expensive, but he said yes. So I went that, and when I saw this lady with the fabrics in the shoulders, I just see, I want to be like this lady. So what I decided, I informed to my dad, I will to continue study the college, but I want to study esthetician. Then it's here in Australia is beauty therapist, but in Mexico it's more extensive, and we don't do nails or we don't do hair. So I was specialist into do estheticians. Then years later turns in cosmetria, and cosmetria is something that it's like a master, it's like a doctor degree in that area to teaching about the skin. But also I was a specialist in a makeup artist, and my dream was to make up famous persons and be in the movies. Then years later I did when I moved into to Baja California. But at that moment also I studied what continued to be the open door in my life. I wanted to do forever, and I want to continue do it. This is the thing you can to do by charging or no charging. You do with your heart, and it's image consultant. Image consultant at that time was image by color. Image by color, it's the name I give it now. At that time was color analysis. But what it is, it's about that we don't need to follow the fashion. We don't need to go to buy the more expensive clothes. We don't need to go to relate what the beliefs of families or environment. And I create something very interesting at that time, because I remember I have a friends in my school that they told me, you will not to sell creams. You will not to just do makeup in the faces. You're a very bright woman. Why you don't study something else? I love it when they told me that, because I say, no, I don't want to just do that. So since that moment, I know that what I will teach to people, it's about the beauty you have inside. Mm-hmm. The beauty you will to recognize. But the fashion don't recognize. The fashion and also the makeup don't recognize that, because they want to feel confidence because you are wearing the brand name of the cloth or the color of in the lipstick, or also in men's then they don't use it makeup. And then years later now, when I am living in a country where the makeup is not important, then also now it's not really relevant in my life, you can't recognize that. So that's why the color is very, very important, because you cannot use any makeup, or the men that is culturally at that time that will not to use makeup either, how you can to use the colors in your benefit for to feel more confident, for to cause an impact when you are talking with the people. And it's not about this is the bad colors or the good colors. It's all the colors has a different tones and different bases. So you can choose the yellows, the greens, the blues, the grays, even the black. The black can be very soft and mood, or bright. So yes, that is what I studied at that time. I know that people coming because are refugee, because they want to study, because they want to do the adventure, because they are two couples are from the same country or the same language, but it's a very also important story when you came as a wife or as a husband, and then you don't know really the family, you really don't know the culture, and you want to belong, you want to be accepted, you want to match probably the other ones. But when you have the support, or you don't have the support of the family-in-law, can be, or the society also, it can be a little, this is our challenge. This is our challenge where we need to go. So yes, we waiting, we have my papers ready to come in legally, of course, with two citizens. My children was already citizens because the father is from Australia, and my papers was ready. But it's very funny because my papers arrived around April, and my ex-husband was very strong to say, we are not traveling now. It's winter there. We will waiting until summer. And that words don't mean anything for people who don't know what the weather here. Don't mean anything. Okay, that's fine. That's good. And maybe we should to have that last Christmas with my family because we didn't know whether for many years then we will not back. But yes, now we come in here, we have the first Christmas here, and everything is beautiful in a summertime in Tasmania. The children enter to the school, and Elisa entered to the school, and Renault for the age. And one of my requests was, I want to improve my English. So yes, so by in February 2009, we already was renting a house. My daughter went to the prep. My son was having daycare because was accepting, that was one of my requests, was accepting that I was able to study English. So I entered to the TAFE. So when I came here and I just enjoy with the multicultural students, that's so beautiful. Yes.
And this was just to clarify, this was in Launceston?
He was already in Launceston. Yes, we arrived here because the father of my children, he was born here. His family is here. And all the dream was we will to have a life here in this small city with all the benefits. Some things happened, some things didn't happen. So at that time, he was very specific that you don't need to working. You're already working a lot there. I have now the position that you don't need to work in. But I said, well, at least let me to study, to improve my English. Because my English was very from America. So, yes, for the few months I cannot understand radio and a lot of things because the English, is different. Yeah. My goal was to raise children who will be happy and to back to Mexico every 2 years because that was the agreement. So they continue to speak Spanish. They continue grown up with the two balance of to have the love of one family and the other family. Probably traveling to Italy too because my ex-husband is from Italy. So you have all these goals. So yes. So my English was not very good by writing, but still I'm learning. But yes, that is one of the things you can to do it. So probably between 2009 was that, and this is when I have a little down because my goal was to be accepted. Mm-hmm. My goal was to belong, and my goal was to have a happy married life. And you start to put away this authenticity that you never need to recover it. Right. Was very funny. Also, I am expert about the colors. I start to using colors that was not giving me the power. Okay. And that power, but it's not power about who will to control in that. Because that is not the idea in a marriage who will to control it. It's about how you can to work in shoulder by shoulder and you can to raise a happy children. Doesn't matter if they are unhealthy or healthy. So happy on the way. He has parents who never separate. I have a parents that I never separate. So sadly, you start to notice that that can be possible in your family and for your children. But yes, I changed the colors, and with the excuse that, here is a beautiful second-hand stores, but doesn't matter. You can buy and one of the beautiful things of the second stores here in Australia, it's by colors.
Yeah,
so of course I can choose what was my colors, but something happened there that create me believe things that was not true.
Right.
Put me in my mind that things that you thinking I am, I start to believe that was true, and it was not true. Now it's not true because we have evidence for years, for doctors, for whatever, that was not true.
So you're talking about beliefs about yourself that were not true?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, this is a dangerous part. When you start to believe things that the other person put in your mind, this is what you are, and then say, yes, everything is my fault. So the marriage fell apart. But before that, I was allowed to do something. Some things I was not allowed. Some things I was allowed to do it. And some of the things I was allowed, it's done a beautiful friend, and his name is Wei, from China. I was to do some participations in always free, always with no earning money, always was a voluntary. I did some makeup for him in a beautiful. This is interesting to share. Some producer have the funding to produce a documentary. So she found a lot team that somebody recommended. I actually was Wei, and we did the history of the mines of the Chinese.
Oh yeah, the tin mines.
The tin mine, yes, that is in St. Helen. One of the things that didn't happen is when I was expecting to know a lot about Australia, Tasmania, to start, because I received a lot of postcard when we was in the relationship. So I receive a lot of postcards, and we will go here, we'll go there, we will go there, all the beautiful places that you imagine, like the Claro Mountain and Strong and whatever it is. It didn't happen. We didn't travel too much, and it was so beautiful when he accepted me that I can go to do this makeup, this production. For first time, I was in a caravan in a bush. So wake up me and see, wow, this is Tasmania. This is the beauty everybody was talking about. And yes, I have an international friends, and because they are studying English, but they want to move and back to his country or whatever. Well, they was traveling. So they was telling me, I went this weekend. I went this and this. And I still was not in my list, and this still was not happening. And I was start to be complain about why we don't do it. So, but because this story is about my discovering and my blessings and my gratitude when I was that and doing that was beautiful. And of course, it was a beautiful production because we was doing beers about Chinese beers and mustache, and it was just brilliant. Yes. So. But thanks to Wade, also, he told me, why about you don't have a radio program in your language? How, where, I don't know. I'll say, I have a program in Chinese, and I can to recommend you that you can have a program in Spanish. And I say, yes. I just say, yes. It was like wow, what nobody told me about? What the other thing I was allowed to do it's to do a gatherings. So straight away I was doing gatherings with the Latinos. So I introduced with someone, and we was doing gatherings, and we start to do festivities like the independence of the posada, that is the Christmas party with piñata. Never was about business, was about more to bring the community, to bring food, and I love to eat, and I love my Mexican food, and to have all these activities, Dia de los Muertos, the Dead of the Dead. So we start to do, I was start to doing all these activities still when we was married. Well, we didn't go to Mexico that year. And the next year either. And the next year either.
Right.
And the next year either. So, yes, at least I have that part on my life. Then I was having the grief of to being not accepted, because the first person who stopped to accepting me was who wants to belong, was my ex-family. To broken the dream to say, I want my children has a family, a happy family, and I want to be with this person for the rest of my life. That was the reason I married. So all this grief coming, and also to release that it's true what I am hearing, that this is the person I am, that no, I am, and take me years to recovery, but not a recovery about what they are telling, the people they are telling you. It's about recovery of what we need to forgive, because at this stage I was connecting with the City per Radio. My program started when October. That first program, the first person was listening to the program with who is my partner now. That is another beautiful story. But at that time was just the next persons to be in the radio. But yeah, City per Radio, I'm very grateful in many ways, because was my in Spanish we say mi tablita de salvación, who helped me to be in this program, to speak in my language, to recognize music. And I am the kind of person that everybody can to put the music, and that's fine. But I can listen, because with my dad always chose the music. That is the point. He always chose the music. I never was listening my music of my age. So a lot of my programs is about the beautiful music that I have. So that connection with the radio, with the community, and also with the skills, because I say I am very extroverted. So I wanted to say to everybody, I am Mexican, give me your details. I want to speak Spanish because it's not too much community here. Doesn't matter we was together. It's no like if you are in another city. So this gives me the excuse to say, I'm a radio presenter of City per Radio, and I would like to interview, or I would like to put your music, talking more about the radio program. So yes, City per Radio gives me a lot of beautiful opportunities. I like to participate. I like to be when we are in Harmony Day. I like to connect with my peers. And in 2015, I have an award, because it was the best program, the best multicultural program of the year, through the association we received. I'm very grateful for that. And what the reason of that award was also because we're talking about a very, very important program about family violence. Mm-hmm. At that time was already Rosy Vati was strong and was already happening her situation. So yes, we was talking about. So this is part of the history I can say about City per Radio and my program. Eventually, I start to put more music of the artists are in Latin America, are in Australia. City per Radio also gave us a training, so I was traveling to be part of the conference. Yes, my first traveling after I was already separate was to go to a conference about the radio. So it's like wow, thanks God that I have the radio program. So this is what it will continue with the radio. Just to talking about the same subject. By 2014, I went to a music festival. And in that festival the presenter was after my program, in my first program.
Okay.
Done. And we say, hello.
Sorry, was this festival in Tasmania?
Yes, was here.
Okay.
Was here in Tasmania, and was a beautiful festival in summertime. And then he was my peer from City per Radio. And then after 2 years, I didn't have any relationship between my separation until I start to be friend of who is now my partner. So yeah, that is another beautiful part of to be of City Pop Radio brought to my life, and we have a beautiful relationship, and I admire a lot him, and we have that connection of the music, but also about how he's mentor about soccer and his voluntary service, like a donate blood, and his feminist, and his all the beautiful things that you need continue have in your life. I came for some reason, that my reason was to be with my ex-husband, and then I have the opportunity to live alone. And it's all, of course, it's in that part where you are in the grief and you are in another city and you are in another country and your family cannot to come in and you cannot to visit your family. And then you have this sense of peace and calm, respect and validation. I was invited to participate to 3 international conferences, what was in Mexico, what was in China, and what was in Japan, about all this. And I was ready to go to the next conference, but it's when I have the diagnosis of breast cancer. So, yes, again, another time to say, well, what is illness trying to tell me? What is the next things I need to do it? What is the resilience? And how I need to stop myself about, oh, yes, now I want to do productive in that area. I cannot be productive until only go with my own process of healing. So, yes, meditations. And it was hard because in my week I need to care my children and if I was okay. So it was hard, that part. I have an irradiation, I have a chemo, and then I have a radiation. I have all the support of my partner, of course. But yes, still was not able to my family came because my only sister was already caring my father who has already had dementia. No, okay. Not too much, but well, yes. He remembered when I was talking with him, but at that time he didn't recognize that I have cancer. I didn't have hair.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I have a lot of fun in that part because, of course, my scars and my wigs, I have a lot of wigs in different colors. So I was helping to also people that was feeling bad, and with the heart, smiling with our colors and smiling with our heart, we can feel better in that process. But yes, was a very, very extreme experience because you can notice how some people you expecting they will helping you probably can't, and they don't helping you. Yeah. And some suddenly you receive help. Like I receiving meals from a restaurant that every Monday when I have the children's that restaurant they will send me food.
Yeah. Right.
And they will send me the food for me and the food for my children's. And just because I did one mention in the Facebook and then just was there. So yes, it's again, you learn to have less expectation because I think when we're suffering is when we have a lot of expectation and that wanted and that wishes don't come in, it's when we can do there. And well, my children continue growing. They didn't go to Mexico, sadly, very, very, very sadly. That is a grief that I can forget, but in the same way, I teaching to my children to forgive.
Other ways to help them connect or stay connected with the Mexican culture?
This is the other learning, because you start to, you as a parent, you recognize that the children can be completely different. Two siblings can be completely different. Yep. And my sister and me, we are different, but we need to embrace that difference and the love continue to be there. My daughter is very similar in me on the way she's very expressive and is very, very, very extroverted, and she loves drama and she loves this, but she's extroverted. And my son was more and more showing that he was not extroverted and he was not interested to meet people, then he loved his solitude and his isolation, and he was a struggle for many years all these years in the school when the environment can be very noisy, when the explanations are not clear, can be confused. So with this characteristic of the autism and respecting that it's a spectrum, They don't need to be exactly what one book say, because everybody can be different. But by not being social, he's creating his own characteristic. By understanding he came at 2 years old and he was not able to speak a lot of Spanish at that time, and suddenly, yes, something that I regret is I say, no, that will be not happen to me. But yes, happened me that my children lost the language, and was very, very variety circumstances. But yes, I continue with my children teaching about the traditions, to do the celebration, the revolution, the independence, the Dia de los Muertos, Dead of the Dead, the Dia de los Reyes, that is the Three Wise Kings. So all these traditions, for a while was a gap, and then Skype was our connection, but cannot to speak because they was no understand. Or at that time, and Andrew was a little more, don't feel confident to project his face in the screen. But eventually, yes, now his passion is to learn about Latin America. Mm-hmm. His passion is to just not speak Spanish, also Nahuatl. She's already corrected me. His passion is about all the history, about the pre-Hispanic, and that he knows a lot about now the political life of the not just Mexico, all the Latin America. He know a lot of parts of the story. Then say, oh my goodness, we didn't learn this one in the school, Andre. You know a lot. How my daughter now, she will to recognize that it's very important to validate herself, to be authentic, to be genuine, be authentic as a neurotypical, but as well as my son as autistic, then absolutely okay, because now a lot autistic people, that some are adults and some they was not diagnosed at that time, they are who are creating. Then it's not good to hiding. It's nothing wrong to say, oh, well, we don't want to have that label. But it's important to say, yes, I am autistic. And that's why we create the awareness, the education. One of my heroes in a male, it's Dr. Tony Atwood, and a female, the psychology, Michelle Garnett, because this is one of the couples I am learn a lot about the autisms and everything it's about to developing that recognition. Probably the word neurodiversity is coming now to helping. That's nothing wrong to be a label. And it's important because you can recognize and helping in the community. Now, already supermarkets, they already have time where it's the lights is down, the sound is down. But I think all the schools at some moment, they need to have also that time. That will be brilliant. Because the schools always are noisy and confused and with a lot of people. Recently, after the trip and after to have all this recognition about the diagnosis, etc., I just have a gallbladder surgery that was not expected. I didn't expect in that pain, and I'm thinking was intolerance to gluten, was that. So just happened recently, and again, it's the opportunity when I start to do more the God eyes, a craft, and when I recognize, wow, really, it's not about our wanted and have the gratitude and need to be part of our life. Because really, and start to be scared or upset or angry or disappointment about the surgery, it's wow, say, well, we tried to clean all these things happen all these years. Mm-hmm. And now probably God say, no, still we need to clean a little more. The meaning of this illness or these circumstances, the health in circumstances, it's the impotence, the injust, and how you need to prove yourself all the time.
Okay.
That creates a little anger, of course. So that how you need to prove yourself and justify whatever I'm doing. And for years it's doing. I need to justify why I need to be advocate of my son, why I need to be advocate of my daughter, why I need to be advocate of myself, that this is the person I am, and I am mental health, and I am happy, enthusiastic, and positive, and helping people. Because probably when I upset people, then they want to be close your door, is because I am helping people and I want unity. I want to unite people.